asked to say. Moses never said anything of himself or by himself. He said what he was asked to say. This is the main challenge. How can I position myself to say what I have been commanded to say? Many times before we remember to say what we are commanded to say, we have said several other things. And yet every word is a spirit. I think that it is time that we become a people of few words and rather wait to say what we are commanded to say. That way I believe that we will be able to reduce the time, the space, and everything that surrounds us and our challenges. Because two things are critical. Say what you are asked to say, do what you are asked to do. Those are the two critical things in our journey. Say what you are asked to say, do what you are asked to do. Say to Pharaoh this. Moses goes, "O king, thus saith the Lord." And he goes back. All the challenges that came with it were not a challenge. Why? The man who said you should say is the one standing by to take responsibility. That's the picture I want to show you. If I call this little girl in front of me and I lead her and I say to this mommy, which word should I use now? I want to say, no, I don't want to use church word. If I bring this small girl in front of you and I say to this mommy, look at your big head. Huh? The girl will look at her and do what? Say it exactly to her. Look at your big head. But you know that the confidence of that girl is not in herself. It is in the fact that she has looked at me who has said to her, say you have a big head. And she will say it. And I'm sure some of you remember those primary school days. Eh? He said, this man has come again with primary school days. If you remember those primary school days, when the person runs to and grips you, he stays by you to run his mouth. His confidence is not in himself. His confidence is in you. When Ezekiel went there to say, he didn't say it because he has a confidence. In fact, even if Ezekiel didn't believe that it can happen, he would say it. Because someone commanded him to say. He is just a messenger. Moses goes before Pharaoh. Tell Pharaoh, if you don't let my people go, this. Moses goes there and he says it exactly as he is commanded. So it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the one who has commanded us to say. And he takes responsibility. Many times I keep asking, did you look at his face? And it looks like somebody who is also afraid. The answer is no. He said, say to the righteous, shall be well with you. When you say to the righteous, it shall be well with you. That's all. Now let's read one scripture again. Let's read one scripture. Maybe let's first read Numbers chapter 20 and verse 8. Numbers 20 and verse 8. Numbers is after Leviticus, before Deuteronomy. Numbers 20 and verse 8. I hope I'm getting right what I want. Okay, let me read from verse 7. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, God is always saying now. He said, the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and say to the rock before their eyes, say to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water. Now, do you notice that please put that in back. I want to read it again. If I read wrongly, correct me. Take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth its water. This is impossible. It said it shall give forth his water. This is wrong English. This cannot be. If that thing is it, then it shall give forth its water. That's correct English. It's water. It's a grammatical problem here. I think those who are doing modern English should correct this thing. It shall give forth his water. First, it was it, material thing. Next, his, a person. Meaning that the rock was a person, and this person responds to the quickening word because he was the word from the beginning. Bring the word forth to the rock. The rock that is going to bring this water responds to the word. He said, come, let us reason together. If you speak before the people to this rock will bring forth his water. It is a rock, but it is a personality. And this person responds to the word. And say, speak. God is a speaking God. God has never resolved any conflict by coming down and carrying hammer. No, he speaks the word. And the Bible said when he sends the word forth, it heals them. When he speaks it forth, it heals, it delivers, it saves. Oh, why are we not carrying broom and flogging people unto salvation? Because that won't do it. It is a spoken word, the quickening word. So when you bring the quickening word, it quickens a dead soul and brings it alive. That's why we preach. So Ezekiel said, and I said what I was asked to say. And the emphasis tonight will be, what are you asked, or what have you been asked to say concerning your own valley? What is it that you have searched out, that you have been commanded to say concerning your own valley? Oh, concerning your own voidness. We all have challenges, and day after day we go into prayers. But I'd like you to know that in Genesis chapter 1, God was not praying. In Ezekiel chapter 37, Ezekiel was not praying. I hope that won't sound so strange. Was Ezekiel praying? Ezekiel wasn't praying. Ezekiel was saying what he was asked to say. In Genesis chapter 1, God came and said what he wanted to see happen. These two dimensions are different. The prayer dimension, where we are asking, where we are pleading. I hope you're with me. Our GS is a teacher. Different scenario. She's sick, so we are praying for her. We may be praying for her and nothing will happen. But she's sick and we say what we are commanded to say. And she gets healed. Two different things. There is a time to pray, intercede, ask for direction, but there is a time to say. There is a time to say what we have been commanded to say. So I hope you won't misunderstand the two. When I don't know what to do, I ask him for direction. That's praying. When she's in trouble, I ask him for mercy on her behalf. I'm praying. But when there is no food, I told you once, Reverend Robertson Akwasi in Bori, during my teaching practice, I stayed with him. So in the morning, I went to the kitchen and cleaned up and tidied everything. And I went to report to him that there is no food in the house. There is nothing to prepare. There is no food in the house. And he asked me, this is why I will never forget it, and this is why this is crucial. He asked me, who told me there is no food in the house? That I should go to the kitchen and say to the pots that they are not here for fancy. That they are here so that things will be cooked. So he said I should go and lay hands on the pot and on the plates, that they are not here for fancy. And I've said that many times. So I did. Don't ask me whether I believe. I prophesied as I was commanded. Don't ask me that I believe. Now I understand it better. Then I didn't quite get that. You go to the plate and prophesy. You go to market and buy food stuff. So I prophesied as I was commanded. Then I took off and went to school at Zachmore, Kiddie Commercial College. By the time I came back from school, I was also thinking what would have happened. Because I'm also hungry now. I got to the house. I greeted him. He greeted me. And, I went, changed. I was coming to ask him, what are we going to cook? He said I should go to the kitchen and prepare things for us to eat. So I couldn't ask him again. I went to the kitchen. What I saw was a basin. Vegetable, yam. I can't remember the other things that were inside, but there was enough thing to cook. So I came and asked him, who brought all this? Whoa. One woman went to her farm, harvested these things, and brought these things to the house. So when I asked him, he reminded me that he told me to speak to the pots, that they are not there for fancy. That is a response to the prayer. And I shut my mouth. Much later, not that day, I think it took about 2 days or so, before he was telling me who brought those things. And was now telling me that the just shall live by his faith. I used to hear them preach it too. But that day, I had it. I had it being told me that the just shall live by faith. So, brothers and sisters, this is what I experienced. That gives me an understanding of what God was doing with Ezekiel. God could have come down in that valley, breathed upon the bones, got all of them up. But Ezekiel must learn that there is a dimension that has to do with saying what you are commanded. Saying what you are commanded. And it's your responsibility to hear and say what you are commanded. It is your responsibility to hear and say what you are commanded. It is your responsibility to hear and say what you are commanded. It is your responsibility to hear. Because if you can't hear, then what are you going to say? If you can search it out, what are you going to say? All of that brings us back again to this one thing. Study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not to be ashamed. Applying the right word in the right place, at the right time, with the right attitude, with the right mindset, will give you this kind of result. Now turn with me to Matthew chapter 17 and verse 20. Matthew chapter 17 and verse 20. Matthew is the first book of the New Testament. Chapter 17 and verse 20. Are we all there? And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall. Ye shall what? Say. We're in a kingdom of saying. This is, again, I'm going to remind you that this is where I love Pastor Chris when he keeps shouting. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Here, we solve problems by saying what we are commanded. We solve and resolve every form of crisis by saying what we are commanded. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of every kind of strongholds. How does that happen? By saying what we are commanded to say. If you will have faith, why do you need faith? Ezekiel must believe. Ezekiel must believe that the God who is commanding him to speak knows what to do. Ezekiel must believe that God has capacity to give life to these bones. Ezekiel must believe that God has what it takes to raise these bones up and give them life again. Ezekiel must believe that God can bring flesh upon them. Ezekiel must believe that God can bring sinews upon them. Ezekiel must believe that God can bring breath upon them. He said, he that cometh to him must believe first that he is. If you don't believe him, don't say anything. Don't say what you don't believe. Even in this natural life, if I tell you to go and tell GS that I'll give him 10 million tomorrow, when you size me up and know that I don't have the capacity, will you accept that errand? I thought to make it real so that you understand what it means. Before you carry some message, they waka, they go somewhere, go give person. You self go check whether the person will send you a message. Somebody see you by the roadside, tell you, say, may you go tell that soldier, saying the grace, say if he not give you that. You walk across road, go tell soldier, say, that man will stand there, say, you the grace if you don't give me this gun. There are messages you won't take to someone. There are informations you cannot carry to somebody. If you have faith like the grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, let's go back there again. If you have faith like the grain of mustard seed, you will carry shovel and dig the mountain. Say. Tell yourself, from today I will learn to say. You know, in the past few weeks, I am more quiet and calm than I used to be, because sometimes there's a way God does things and rewinds you back. He realizes that you have forgotten yourself. I don't know for you, but he realizes that you have forgotten yourself. And you're beginning to talk like ordinary persons. So he will do something and box you to one corner, so that you remember that you're not supposed to be talking like them. So they are telling me some things and I'm just busy laughing. I'm just laughing. Because I need that laughter in order to think through. Do you understand what I mean? I need to laugh so that I can have the time to think through, rather than respond quickly and get another rebuke. If God was physically in a physical being with us, many of us would have received slaps several times for our rash answers, responses to things. I don't know if you think like me, but that's where I feel. Many times we would have received slap. You know, grandpa's one finger would have been on your forehead. Bah! Because sometimes we are in a haste to respond. We are in a hurry to speak, to show that we know something, and yet these are away from what we are commanded to do. May the Lord have mercy on us in Jesus' name. So God spoke in Genesis. That's what we see him do. He kept speaking and kept speaking. When he said, let there be light, light came. He met another situation. He didn't change the method. He spoke again. That one was resolved. He met another one. For 6 days, God was moving from one level of challenge to another. And he didn't change the method. You can't change. There's no another method. It's not by might. It's not by power. It's not by effort. This morning, there was a guy that carried bags of beans. 2 bags of beans, and then they loaded something, and the guy was struggling with it. And I was saying in my mind, this guy ought to be paid at least 5 million at the end of this. This guy ought to be paid like 5 million. All his bones were, when somebody is doing something and all the muscles are out showing that effort is being applied here, and yes, someone is in one office, this thing is probably pushing maybe 500. and someone is in one office sitting in front of television and writing something on paper. At the end of the day, he is going to be paid. When you multiply the pay to the number of days, what this man has put so much energy to do is not even equal to that. This morning, this same principle. And then you went back to that Ezekiel in 37, and you saw that Ezekiel prophesied. He said he saw bones moving to bone, and he saw sinews come together. And he thought, something is happening. Somebody give the Lord a shout. Nothing happened. They were lifeless. And this is me now saying, I begin to wonder what Ezekiel must have been thinking in his heart. God, nothing is happening. It's true, the place shook. I saw everything come. But God, they are still the way they are now. God said to him again, speak to the winds of the four corners. Listen. When God asked him to speak to the dry bones, at least he saw bones. Now again, God is asking him to speak to the wind. Where is he going to see them? Another near impossible situation. Where is he going to see the wind? Seeing the dry bones gives a sense of confidence. You are talking to something. Now you are asked to speak to the winds of the four corners. Where is the four corner? Do you know the four corners? You have no idea what the four corners. Okay, four corners. And God said to Ezekiel, speak to the winds of the four corners. And Ezekiel did. And the wind began to blow on them. What do I want to tell you? You have what it takes to command the winds. Even the winds. If you can say what you have been asked to say, the winds will blow today. If you can say what you have been asked to say, dead bones, dead business, whatever that represents around your life and my life, if we can say what we have been asked to say, and we stay on saying it, we will see it happen. So, me? I thought it was only Jesus that the winds and the waves obey. The winds have obeyed someone like Ezekiel. So Jesus was not the first person to have authority over the wind. Ezekiel did. By simply obeying and saying what he was asked to say, the winds responded. I don't know about Joshua, but the Bible said that he commanded. He commanded. He said. Command. The thing here is that it is command. Joshua said to the sun, stand still. Moon, stay where you are. And it was so. In other words, a mortal man had control over the sun and had control over the moon by saying something. Let us learn to say. And you see, when it comes to saying, you say to. That's the last thing I like to point your attention to. Say unto. Say to. Say to. Say to. Say to this mountain. Say to this trouble. Say to this infirmity. Say to this situation. Don't say about it. Say to it. I hope that's not confusing. When God brought Ezekiel, the Bible said he took him round about it. He didn't ask him to speak round about it. Please, I hope this is not difficult. He didn't say speak round about it. Many times what we do is discuss the problem. We talk around the problem. But the problem is still there. We're still talking around it and talking about it. This is about, round about. We are talking about it. The thing is still there. God asked him to go round. He went round. God didn't ask him to speak about it. He asked him to speak to it. Say to the dry bones. Say to the dry bones. Say to the four corners, the wind of the four corners. Don't say around. Say to. You know what that reflects? When it comes to worship, we talk to God. When it comes to solving problem, we talk to the problem. While he walked around examining them, God didn't ask him to be talking about them. He asked him to talk to them. Let me close by saying that every challenge has an ear. What did I just say? Every challenge has an ear. Every problem that is around me, around your life, they have ears to hear. They are waiting for you to say to them what they must do. You know this chair, I think we need to really clean this chair. You know this chair has been here for some time. We need to clean this chair. Then I walk away. Did I say anybody should clean the chair? No. Talking about the fact that the chair has stayed long and needs to be cleaned. It's different from when I come to you and say, please, can you clean this chair? Then I have given a specific instruction. While you are talking about the problem is hearing you. But they are also talking among themselves. Since he has not asked us to do anything, let us wait now. I hope that is simple enough. That is the reason that you are not to talk about the problem or around the problem. Your main task is to talk to that issue as you are commanded. So tonight, in the next few minutes, you will speak, you will prophesy as you have been commanded. You will prophesy as you have been commanded. Mark chapter 11 and verse 23. Mark chapter 11 and verse 23. The second book of the New Testament. After Matthew, we get to Mark. Chapter 11 and verse 23. For verily I say unto you, whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe those things which he said, and shall believe, but shall believe those things which he said shall come to pass. He shall have whatsoever I'm not reading new scriptures to us. We've been reading all of these scriptures. Especially if it is this church. Scriptures run like water. If anyone shall say to this mountain, be thou removed, and shall not doubt what he has said, then that thing which he has said, he shall have it. Whatever it is that he said, he shall have it. In other words, whatever he said, I will not change it.